Welcome to Commander Community, the show where we discuss everything. The people, the places, the things beyond the tabletop of Magic the Gathering's most popular format, brought to you by Star City Games.
I'm Anthony Alonji.
And I'm Sheldon and Anthony. In each episode, we just address one or more hot-button issues in the Commander community. We'll talk about Commander's current events, the intersection of our hobby with life in general, and whether that's nerd culture, music, food, booze, anything at all.
Yes, and I am still 100% likely to ask Sheldon, what the hell is wrong with you?
And I am still 100% likely to not have an answer. A major community issue this last week was that the Wizards of the Coast Content Creator Program dropped Elizabeth Eden for, quote, and I'm quoting from their release, distributing magic content that is against their code of conduct, including photos featuring adult nudity and or sexualized posting. Many fans were outraged because, in their estimation, it seems like she didn't do that at all. As of this recording, they actually haven't told her specifically which piece violated the piece of content violated the TOS. Anthony, have you seen this, and what's your take on it?
I have seen it. It's usually not on my radar. I only caught it as a result of people talking about people talking about people. This is, she runs a fans only, which is every business person's right to do as they wish, as long as it's done the way that she does it and many others do it. And so I had to kind of dig a little bit to find it. It's not exactly targeted at my demographic, so. Okay, I found it, and then then you look at the statement, and you look at the first, you scroll down our tweet about half a block, and you kind of go, all right, what's the problem here?
Yeah, I agree.
I didn't get it.
Reading the byplay, I'm not sure what specifically they're talking about.
Right. So Wizards runs a risk here, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, I think the risk is that people in the absence they can run their show however they want to run. I suppose it's their ballpark. They can take their ball and go home. I guess
absolutely their program.
They want to. Their program, their rules. But people need to understand the rules. And if you invite people to your ballpark and you say, hey, let's play ball, and then you steal the ball from somebody you take the ball from somebody. Yeah. And you say, you can't play on my field anymore, and because you broke the rules, the other kids, the other players are going to look around and go, well, what rule did she break?
Right. That's I think one of the major issues here is that, especially considering other contexts, both other content creators, other Magic card arts, things that Wizards of the Coast themselves have produced in order to market the brand. There doesn't seem to be a disconnect between Liz's Commander or Magic content and Magic content.
Right.
So that's that's where the question marks. That's where the question marks are coming up.
Right, and I'll leave it to the wise minds at Star City Games how many of these images they want to throw up next to our faces while we talk about them. But I mean, there are lots of cards. The most recent card, which I think is hilarious, is Enthralling Victor. Which everybody talks about as being eye candy. As a bare-chested man, enjoys the adoring gaze of somebody very, much smaller, next looking up, adoringly. That's I think everybody considers that to be a pretty okay deal. And then there are ones that obviously, for a long time, we've had cards in Magic that display all kinds of parts of the female anatomy. It's been toned down over time. It has become much more PG-13 or even PG than it ever has been, and that's great. That's a good direction for the game. But we aren't up in arms about a lot of cards, especially from the early history of Magic, that are really overtly sexual.
Right.
And I find that the risk right? I'm going to keep trying to call it a risk. The risk is that people will see this as hypocritical, and that people will see this as targeted toward a very specific gender.
Yeah.
We're talking about sexualizing women's bodies when it's convenient for us, but not when it's not.
Yeah, I think my big thing here is sort of the hypocrisy of the fact that we use sexualized imagery to sell a lot of things, and not just in magic, television, commercials, beer, snow tires, whatever. So it's naive to think that we don't do that. And I certainly support any content creator making their brand into whatever they think that they want their brand to be. I mean, we here at Star City Games are a little PG, but that's just, that's an editorial direction that the leadership has chosen, and that's fine.
They just like bleeping me.
Yeah. But yeah, the sort of twofold hypocrisy is the second part. Women are the only ones who are told they shouldn't do it,
right?
And only when it suits somebody else's narrative,
right?
And it seems like we have in this case a targeting of some kind, and I think the community is justifiably up in arms over both some sort of indefensible ejection from the program, and then just like some unequal application of what standards that seem vague in the first place.
Right. Do you think? I mean, I'm trying to. We have to. I'm briefly a brief entry into the world of speculation. Do you think there was some sort of complaint against her, and they're just being reactive to a specific complaint? Because sometimes when you see something happen that's arbitrary like this, it's because a corporation is thinking about a very specific case and they don't want to get sued.
Yeah, I can't say.
Not that it matters. It doesn't matter. I'm just I'm just giving risks looking like this, right? Like they're just being reactive instead of proactive.
Right. I can't say for sure in this case. Certainly nothing that I've seen in the social media barrage since then has indicated that. Now, to be fair, most of what we see is only Liz's side of the issue, because other than the one thing they sent her, they haven't said anything about the issue. At least, as of this recording, they haven't said anything to her or to anyone else regarding this. So I think that is even part of it. There's a risk for them that you mentioned earlier. Also, it's possible that they're seeing it as a not risk. That just if it's close to the line, we say no, and it's much easier for us to defend ourselves this way.
Well, then there's a lot of other people that are going to have to start. I mean, this is this I assume is the first of many content creators we're going to be hearing from, and I assume of both gender or all genders and gender identities that we're going to be seeing lots of different people. There are people who have been pointed out who are much more affiliated with Wizards, who have been the subject of some pretty intense conversations about how they view sexuality and how they exhibit the behavior that is may or may not be moral. And so I certainly hope that then we will see some action taken against these individuals as well. Because otherwise it looks to me like we're just shaming a woman for showing, showing off bikini photos, essentially is what it kind of boils down to.
Right. I hope that there's not a bunch of new bannings of people as well. I hope we'll go back the other direction, and as long as they're complying with the term service, it seems okay. The content creator agreement says specifically, no adult nudity or sexualized imagery. Okay, well. Again, it doesn't seem that she's done that here, so I would rather not we go in the opposite direction of
Right.
even if it's barely suggested, you're out, because
Right.
we lose a lot of great content creators. And this whole thing led me to, I mean, I was
We lose some cosplayers, I think.
Yeah.
Like, come on.
like
This is
every
silly.
cosplayer.
Right.
It led me. I was familiar. I was familiar with Liz as a friend of a number of other people that I know.
Yeah.
You know, like you know, she knows Olivia and she knows Tappy, and so I was like, well, you know, let me check out her stream.
Right.
And I clicked on her stream, and she was doing a sealed deck of some kind, I think. But
Right.
instead of actually talking about the cards, she was engaging with the chat on her Twitch channel. And she was
Oh, heavens, Sheldon.
and she was giving advice on how to approach women at big events or at the game shop.
Sure.
She was talking, to the fan base about things to do and not to do. You know, she had a great piece of advice about people and women who are cosplayers and artists have experienced this. When they go to an event, when they're a guest at an event, they're kind of trapped there.
Right.
Right? So if someone comes up and starts hitting on them or, sort of aggressively engaging them inappropriately, for the most part, they're stuck.
Right.
They can't just get up and walk away. You know, if it happened in a bar, they could get up and walk away.
Right.
But if it happens at the convention hall,
Right.
now what do they do? So,
Which is why some men do it.
yeah. And so Liz was giving some very sage advice on what not to do if you want to talk to somebody. And quite honestly, one of the big points was don't look at all women as sexual conquests.
Right.
You know,
So in other words, Sheldon, it sounds like the kind of person that we might, down the road even highlight as a community contributor of the week.
Yes.
It's not that happens not to be the case this episode, but certainly somebody who would be eligible to be be somebody who's doing good work out there, somebody who, based on your, admittedly short.
Very, very brief sample. Just, again, I watched for maybe 20 minutes as she just engaged. And it's like, and it wasn't just don't do this. It was, okay, if you have a conversation with somebody, have it about your common interest. You're obviously at the game shop together, or you're at a convention together. So talk about your love of steampunk, or sealed deck or whatever it is, and then maybe open the opportunity later once you find out that there's a connection. Don't just go up and start throwing yourself at people. Right. That's not going to lead to a healthy relationship in the first place.
Right. Well, I'm glad she's out there giving advice. If she's watching or gets wind of this episode, I hope she hears us letting her know that we support her and her work, and and the work of many who do content, of everybody in the content creator programs, and other people who aren't in the content creator programs who are just trying to do good content.
Yeah.
They're trying to meet a market need. They're trying to figure out what their role is in this market. I mean, these are individual, they're budding entrepreneurs. Some of them are well-established entrepreneurs. All of them, deserve support. And if they do violate terms of service, what they also deserve is a very clear statement from Wizards that goes beyond, you violated the rules, I'm taking my ball. Because to get back to that playing ball analogy, the other players in the field are going to be like,
what the hell, man?
Maybe I don't want to play with this person.
Yeah.
Maybe I don't want to. I'm not talking about her. I'm talking about them.
Yeah.
Maybe this isn't the right program for me. Maybe I don't want to give essentially what amounts to their time, giving free advertising to a corporation that won't tell them fully what rules they violated and how.
Yeah.
That's a risk, right?
We want to see. We want to see content creators well treated. And just giving them free advertising, and then taking it away when you feel like it, that doesn't seem like the thing that we want to support. I did, in fact, reach out to her and say, hey, look, I don't know what help I can give you, If you think of something, let me know. But I just wanted to let you know that you have our support, and reach back out if you need to. And she's like, thanks. Just the fact that you said something is worthwhile. So it was. I imagine it was a rough few days for her. So hopefully we could pick her up a little bit. I think the whole thing begs the question here, because this is a bigger issue than just one content creator, right? This is
of course.
This incident with Liz was the sort of catalyst for this discussion. But it begs the question: what WotC or some other body, whatever company it is, owes to the people in the promotional programs. Back to your ball analogy, is it just their ball and they get to play with it any way they want and with whom? Or just the fact that they've created a fan base complete with content creators implies some sort of responsibility on their behalf? And if so, what is it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm obviously tending toward the latter. And you and I are speaking as, you're clearly like a battle cruiser out there in terms of the content creator community. I've enjoyed that status in the past. There's this time where we were never are not as big as Wizards, to be sure. I'm not putting the egos out there. I'm just simply saying that it would be, I think we get treated differently, partly because of our demographic and partly because of our history and what we've contributed at different points. So I think that
our demographic led us get to
right. Yes, it fed. Yes, one fed the other. Right.
Yeah.
And so we got that privilege, we got that advantage, and then we were able to use it, and then you were able to do wonderful things for a format and create format and support it and do all the things you've done. I was able to be a content creator that they asked to come join the mothership back before there was a mothership, and so there was it was really neat to be part of this, and also to enjoy this relationship where you're pretty sure you can say or do anything you want
within reason, but sure
within reason. Again, we can't within basic bounds. But again, there's let me put it this way: the line has been drawn much more generously for you and me.
Yes,
than it has been
100%
for others.
I'm sure that. It's not like I'm in a content creator program.
Right. That's actually a helpful disclaimer. We are not part of this program.
That they're sponsoring. But I'm willing to bet that if I let a few F-bombs slip on the broadcast, that Pete would justifiably yell at me,
right?
But he wouldn't fire me right away.
Would he ask you what the hell is wrong with you?
He probably would.
I think he already knows.
Pete would probably say, I don't want to sound like Anthony here. What the hell is wrong with you?
Pete actually may be the only person who truly understands what the hell is wrong with Sheldon. That's not true. Gretchen understands what the hell is wrong with Sheldon too.
He does, in fact.
But yes, you're right. I mean, but my point is that the boundaries are drawn, right? That's my starting point, is that the boundaries are drawn more generously for us. So we have this relationship, or I've had this relationship with Wizards at one time or another, where we get to drive. They give us the steering wheel or access to the pedals for at least a little bit of time, and we can drive the message that is there. They've used us as part of the message for what their product is about, and that to me is a it's helpful perspective for us, but I also think it warps our perspective. We're capable of being empathy. We're capable of being empathy. Wow, we are capable of empathizing. We are capable of seeing, remembering what it was like not to be in the positions that we've been in.
Sure.
But I also think that there's so many people out there, dozens and hundreds of people, content creators, who are looking for the positive signals. It is not enough just to punish the people that you think are doing wrong. It is, you have to lift up the voices that you truly feel are your brand, and find more Sheldons and Anthonys of differing demographics and diverse, from diverse backgrounds, and but find all those people and lift them up enthusiastically, consistently, over and over again. Create that pattern. We've talked about this in past shows. I'm not, you're not letting this theme go, and I'm not letting this theme go, just because it's been a few weeks where we're not the collective American attention span here. Okay,
right.
We're staying on this, and if they were to elevate people with the same ferocity that they demote people, then I think that people would be able to understand, everybody would understand more where the lines are getting drawn and what it is they're looking for. There's an old writing rule of use the positive form, which essentially means replacing all the instances of no and not and don't and won't and all the no's and nots with the things that you want. Do this, yes, that.
Don't not use the positive form.
Exactly. That exemplifies it very well, or the problem with not using it. So that's what they ought to be doing. It's a good way of living too. E.B. Strunk White, so much advice. And, elements of writing, it applies to life. Omit needless words, which I'm still working on. But use the positive form. So many great pieces of advice. But using the positive form is the one that's relevant here. Wizards, use the positive form. Don't just say the positive form is having a content creators program.
Right.
Use the content creators program to promote the voices in such a way that it is super clear where your values lie. And by the way, do that throughout the rest of your work. And by the way, if you do toss somebody from the program, make sure you're also tossing the people within your own ranks and more closely affiliated with you that exhibit arguably way worse behavior.
You really want to have a situation where you're creating positive experiences, not just identifying negative ones. And it seems to me that, one of the other criticisms from the community about the content creator program is that it's just streamers.
Right.
And, as we discussed in our last episode, cosplayers are content creators, and people that write articles are content creators.
Yes, they are.
So having your content creator program limited seems problematic in the first place, and that's I think another one of the issues that folks have had with the program. And then if you're going to have a program that you say is one thing but is really another, and then unequally apply the standards of the program to people, it becomes a mess pretty fast.
Yeah, it does. It does. That's absolutely correct. So I hope that they take. I've been saying I hope a lot in regards to their behavior, but I still hope that they listen to voices. If they're not going to listen to voices like hers, maybe they'll listen to voices like yours and mine. To say, listen, there's two content creators, small c. Out there. There's two content creators out there. I'm gonna slip out of the positive form. I'm not impressed.
Yeah.
I think that they could behave better themselves in this regard. And the focus on, in this case, a woman and how sexualized they claim she's being when they've got this on their cards from their past and they haven't owned up to it. Not saying they have to ban all these cards. It's kind of where I'm going. We've talked about ban cards and whether that's the right solution or not. But what it does require is a conversation. What I didn't hear her report, and I hope she didn't skip in her report. I have no reason to believe she would. What I hope didn't, what would have been nice is for her to have had the opportunity to talk to somebody.
Yeah, isn't
that what a community is about? Don't we talk to each other in a community? Did I miss a thing?
Yeah, you don't just shut somebody off if you think they need course correction. You help them. In fact, you help them correct course, which is sort of segues into the one more thing I wanted to ask you about this. Let's say Anthony is in charge all of a sudden of the content creator program. After
I'm done laughing, what do I do?
Yeah, how do you help fix this situation? Because the program has apparently created, or obviously I think created some bad blood. So how do you fix it, and what do you do with it going forward?
You make a series of announcements. One starts within 24 hours and they go on for the next, 3 to 6 months, and you start a conversation on this that you continue openly and transparently. So you start with your own values because that's all you got within 24 hours. You start with where your principles are and what you want to achieve. That can be perfectly corporate value kind of stuff. We want to make sure that we're there for the brand and there for the creators and et cetera. So you can make it sound as lawyerly as you need to. But you start with where you start, and then you widen that circle, and you use Twitter feeds and Reddit threads and I know, I'm sorry, but you do. And you're welcome, Reddit. Key endorsement, and when you can, in-face conversations, right? Maybe you pick up the phone to 3 to 13, particularly strong voices in the community, and you get going about like what do we need to do to make the content creator program a truly positive endeavor for everybody involved. Right, and when I say 3 to 13 people, I only meant for phone calls. I mean, like by the time you're done, you get to you've absorbed the voices of hundreds.
Right.
And you use that information. Then you start to do things like you administer surveys instead of just focus groups. I would get into it with actual quantitative tools that you use to figure out where people stand as content creators or near content creators, or if they see themselves as a content creator, they're a content creator. So you get out there and you talk to them.
Don't forget the content consumers too.
And the consumers. I think the consumer. I mean, not that I would ignore the consumers at all, but I think that frankly, if I'm in charge of the content creator program, one of the things that Wizards I think still does well is that they do listen to consumer voices pretty well. So I probably wouldn't have to do that part of the journey alone.
Yeah, fair point.
So I'll admit I am biased toward saying, can we just, because right now there's a lot of content creators, small c. There's a lot of content creators out there that are like, what are you doing? Or people who could easily be in the content community, who don't feel like they're part of the community, aren't in the community. And if all you use to define your community is negative space, you end up with a vacuum in your community. You don't have a community, you have a vacuum. So you've got to, what I would be doing is I'd be looking to fill that vacuum with as many voices from as many perspectives as possible. I would be giving probably weekly or maybe every other week updates on what I'm learning, what I'm hearing, asking people, am I hearing you properly? And then I would be, at the end of a predefined period, 3 months, whatever it is, maybe 2 months, maybe a month is enough. But I'd like to give it more time than that if possible.
Sure.
I would put out a statement that says, so here's what we learned. Here are the changes that we believe we're going to do. We may have further changes. Wizards used to do stuff a little bit like this before. They don't need me or you to maybe they do to tell them what to do now, but they used to not need that.
Do you think that's as simple as smaller company versus mega corporation?
I don't think it's that as simple for 100% of the explanation, but I think that is one of 2 or 3 or 4 dynamic factors here. I think that's, it's larger entities are just less sensitive, and that doesn't excuse them. It doesn't let them off the hook, but it does contribute to the problem. Right. It means they have to work harder. They have more staff to work harder. Harder.
And smarter.
And smarter, sure,
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm sure that we're going to hear more about this issue in the upcoming weeks, but I think it's about time to move on. And let's go to our interlude, Community Contributor of the Week.
Yeah, Magic the Gathering is about the gathering, and here on Commander Community, we like to recognize those who go above and beyond in making the gathering worth it.
Yeah, our community contributor this week is Andrew Weber. Andrew lives in Massachusetts and runs a Facebook Commander group that has, wait for it, more than 60,000 members.
Nice job. Nice job, Andrew.
With numbers like that, he has to lead a team of moderators to keep things running smoothly and civilly. And what's impressive to me about the group, MTG EDH-Commander, is that he's keeping the vitriol and the hate out of his group that can easily drip into online forums.
Yeah, he is. There are what's been true of social media definitely in the last few years is that forces of evil have gotten really good at corrupting many cherished areas of our lives and many good things. They've spoiled many good things. A lot of actors out there, whether for political reasons or selfish personal reasons or business reasons or whatever reasons you can think of,
Right.
that have just they get in there and they worm their way in and they sow division and they just find a way to just, so much easier, we've said in the past, so much easier to destroy than create. Andrew's made a very nice thing here, and he's done a good job defending it too, which is extra points.
He's gotten the bacon,
Yeah, I'm sorry, the bacon. He got bacon.
Yes. Well, so occasionally, when I want to say thanks to somebody in the Commander community or in the Magic community, I send them 5 pounds of high quality bacon from a company called Nuska's. This stuff is so good that it's just.
It sounds fascinating, Sheldon. I've never received any.
Well, start making a difference. I got to meet Andrew.
This is going to be my "what the hell is wrong with you" moment. I'm picking it right here, right now. This is it. All right.
I got to meet Andrew.
We were talking about Andrew.
Yeah, we were talking about Andrew.
Congratulations on getting the bacon.
Yeah.
Jerk.
Well, one of the first things he told me he did was share it with his team.
Oh.
Yeah,
see, I won't be sharing anything if you were to. Yeah, I get it. Okay, I get it. It's like the monkey's hand in the coconut. If you're gonna grab the coconut, you can't get your hand back.
Right.
I get it.
So I got the chance to meet him in person at Command Fest DC when he drove down with a number of folks from his team, and he's just that sort of good, kind, caretaking person. You could tell he wanted to make sure he had his arms around all his people the entire time. For a lot of them, it was their first major event. It was one of his first major events, but he took the opportunity to rise up and shepherd his friends who had never been to this. Command Fest DC had 1,500 people at it. It wasn't your LGS.
So what you're saying is that he was able to get a good pulse on the community that he's trying to create, and that he was creating. Maybe he's playing a game of ball, and everybody can understand the rules. And if he were to eject somebody, here's moderators to eject somebody, it'd be based on sort of deductive logic and thoughtful conversations that happen over time. Is that you're saying a little bit of that? Maybe
something very much like that, Anthony. Something very much like that.
You are very wise, Sheldon. Except with your stinginess and bacon shipments. I'm not saying Andrew shouldn't have gotten bacon. I don't want to get quoted as saying that, or paraphrased even. I'm just saying there's enough bacon to go around.
Logan got bacon too.
All right, yeah, whatever. Hey, I have an idea. Let's get more ideas from the community out there. If you would like to see a contributor to the community, a community contributor featured on our show here. So if you would like bacon, here we go. If you would like Sheldon to ship somebody bacon, nominate them.
Make them bacon eligible.
Send your nomination on a 3x5 postcard to Bacon Incorporated. In all seriousness, we are always on the lookout for new contributors to the community, people who may come from all sorts of backgrounds or have different styles of contributing to the community. We don't pretend to know all the ways in which people can contribute to the community. So if those of you viewers have ideas and thoughts, our Twitter handles are right below each of our heads. Please get in touch with us and let us know.
Yep.
But that's what we're all about here, is elevating voices, using the positive form with bacon.
Using the positive form. All right. Thanks to Andrew for defining what it means to be a community contributor. Let's move on to issue number 2. Issue number 1 was Jumpstart.
That was very clever, by the way. Yes.
Issue number 2? Yes. Jumpstart.
Jumpstart. See, folks, we replaced a letter. Jumpstart. And in this case, we're going to be looking at the reprints of Jumpstart. All right. We have another new product on the horizon. This one is called Jumpstart. Sheldon was kind enough to brief me on it from a previous episode when I was trying to keep up. And I've certainly learned, more about it. So this is the intersection between constructed and draft. And we have themed boosters.
Right.
And the idea is to buy a couple of them, shuffle them together, and then play against someone who's done the same with either the same two the same boosters, or totally two different boosters, or one the same, one not the same. The permutations are not infinite, but plentiful.
Plentiful, yeah. So they made it quite a few new cards to go with it. And a lot of folks are going to cover those cards, and lots of other content creators are going to cover those cards in the coming weeks. So we we thought that we'd take a different tack and talk about the reprints, both the reprints from the set and the idea of reprints in general.
Yeah, and this is one of those things, and I'm... Yeah, we're critical of Wizards, I think, on a lot of the things that matter in life, in society. I would call them the more important things. That's why I'm so troubled about some of what I see.
Sure.
But as critical as I am of some of the missteps they make in some of those life venues that they really ought to get right, I really do also appreciate that, on the team that's making cards, there are a lot of we know extremely thoughtful and they are the people that I think are the heart of Magic, and so I still have faith. Right, they're the people that continue to make me faith, and not just because they do good work, but because we just know some of them personally, right? Mm-hmm. And they also happen to be kind of making great. They're kind of killing it in some of the choices that they make for reprints, and some of the choices, the designs they do for new cards. As well, the product on the cards does remain strong, and it does. While I have said in the past on past episodes, I'm ratcheting down my purchases. One thing that keeps me coming back is the quality of the product. It does matter. Yeah. Quality product does matter, and I do appreciate the quality that I'm seeing there, and I'm grateful for it. So,
yeah, I mean,
the reprints are a part of that.
Yeah, they're certainly gonna be criticized for. Mm-hmm. Nearly everything, either the reprints aren't good enough or the reprints are too good, and so it's definitely a fine line, and there's a pretty big thought process, and I got a bigger window into this when I was on a design team about what reprints go into sets. Now, this is a set where, like core set 2021, where there's a density of reprints, whereas in an expansion set there's 3 or 5 or something.
A lot fewer.
Yeah, a lot fewer. But it's part of what's good about reprints is kind of the democratization of play of the game. Commander's an eternal format. So there are cards that people would like to play with, but they're a lot older, they're hard to come by. In some cases, they're really expensive. And, it helps when a product comes out that can get those people, especially new people. You and I have been around forever, so we just might happen to have that card, whatever it is, tucked away in a shoebox. But a lot of folks who are just coming into the game, they know everything from War of the Spark forward, and that's all they have. So reprints allow them to get into some older cards without having to again pay a premium to go back and get them from the original sets.
Yeah. Instead of being that newer player that, has to pick up the card that somebody else played and turn around and go, whoa, what does that do? They get to be the player that plays the thing.
Yeah.
Right? And that makes other people's heads turn. And that's one of the founding principles of the Commander format. I know is as when you created it was that the idea was to create those big experiences, but not just one-sided, not just one player, amazing the other 3, but for all 4 players to amaze each other.
Yeah, I imagine if we were able to shoot a Commander promo, but do it in the style of a 1970s, a Toys R Us commercial or something. That there would be a lot of.
Could you not?
There would be cards that get played, and then everybody throw their arms up in the air. Yay!
There'd be big collars, Sheldon. Yeah, collars would be prominent. Collars and probably mustaches.
Nice tight collars.
Bowl cuts.
I think nice tight collars are better.
Yeah, quite possibly.
But giant lapels, I don't know. Maybe they're making a comeback.
You're gonna have to keep that stuff in your closet.
Right. So normally here on Commander Community, we talk about philosophy and bigger pictures. We don't necessarily get into the weeds cards themselves. But I thought it might be a nice change of pace for us to go through some of the reprints of this set and see if there are some favorites. So let's break them down by color, and you and I can pick one each of the cards.
I accept your challenge, Sheldon. Carry on.
For white, I like Angel of Dire Hour.
Sure.
It's got flash, and when it ETBs, if you cast it from your hand, you exile all attacking creatures. Kind of simple. It's from a Commander product originally. It's expensive. I mean, it costs 7, but exiling the entirety of somebody's board should be expensive.
Yes, that has saved my bacon.
Ooh, bacon! You just did a callback.
I did callback, Sheldon. You'll pick up some of these tips and tricks as time goes on.
Thank you.
You'll get better. You'll get better at this. Don't worry.
Thank you.
My pick. But my point is that I agree. That the Angel of Dire was a great reprint. And let's stipulate that beyond the 2 cards from each color you and I are going to go through, it was very easy for me to identify 5 in each color like that.
Yeah.
That I would not argue for too long or too heavily with anybody who wanted to take issue and elevate one of the other cards. I'd be like, yeah, fine, sure, that's the card.
Yeah.
In my case, the card that I thought was kind of the my pick is Archon of Justice, and I usually have to say it. Speaking of the 70s, another callback for you: the Super Friends with the Archon of Justice, right? The Halls of Justice. This is their Archon, and the Archon of Justice is a fantastic rattlesnake card.
Yes.
To use a phrase, a little blast from the past. Unlike the Angel is a great card that comes out and is a big surprise. It's supposed to be a surprise. It's supposed to be. It's not supposed to. You almost want to bait people into coming in, and then you take those creatures out. It's a great multiplayer strategy. And another good multiplayer strategy is to put something out there and just tell everybody just to stay away.
Right.
You're just getting people out of your hair and out of your face. And that's something that, so for me, the Archon of Justice, and you can do lots of sack tricks with it and blah, blah, blah. I have a deck that uses one of them that way. Most of the decks that I have that use Archon of Justice, it's just out there as a 4/4 flyer for 4 that just says stay away.
Yeah.
And it works beautifully. It changes games.
Moving on to blue, I'm going to pick a real blast from the past.
Yeah.
Serendibifreet. A 3/4 flyer for just 3 mana. And it deals some damage to you during your upkeep, but whatever.
I thought this was a green card. All right. It's a great card. For those that don't know that joke, I'm sure Star City Games will put the image on the screen now that explains. All right. My pick is another creature, Kira the Great Glass Spinner. Another bit of a, maybe less of a rattlesnake, although I would categorize it in the same broad category, but still reptilian. Maybe more of a tortoise. maybe more of a they're turtling up a little bit, and you're saying, look, nope, don't bother. You're not going to be able to take out my creatures. Nice and cheap. It's the kind of card that I thought was overpowered for its cost back when they first printed, and now seems more in line with how they're printing rare cards at that cost and power level. It seems more typical. So it doesn't stand out like it first did to me, but at the same time, I love seeing it as a reprint. It's a card that I've put out many times and had younger or newer players look at and go, wait, what's
that do? Yep.
And since then, I think they've reprinted. This is the second time they've reprinted it, but this is nice to see. I appreciate them putting this card back out there because Kira is fantastic for a lot of different styles of blue decks. Whether you have a few creatures you're trying to protect or whether you're trying to protect a whole army, it's nice.
So I noticed something as I was pasting the card images into our script here.
Yeah.
Kira.
Script? What's a script?
Yeah.
Sorry.
It's not Kira the Great Glass Spinner. It's Kira Great Glass Spinner. And there's another card that I wrote down that I put the in. Doesn't have the in it either.
Right.
So
just, I assume they did that in part because of room on the title.
Probably.
But I also think it creates a nice little flavor moment too.
In black, I'm going with Ghoul Color Gisa. Black mana, tap it, sacrifice another creature, put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. This is something, somebody inevitably is going to kill your Kresh or your Hamlet-back Goliath.
Yeah. Yeah.
At least you get some zombies out of it.
Yep. It's an excellent back strategy, and it gets, again, it's the kind of card that gets used in a variety of ways. I've seen it used in some repeating loop style decks. I've seen it used just as a, hey, I want to get value out of my Hamlet back Goliath. It's nice. I really like it a lot. My pick for reprint the set is Tiny Bones. Tiny Bones attack. Tiny Bones. Star City Games video staff, do something with the Tiny Bones card.
Right.
Make it attack Sheldon. Attack. All right. I really do like Tiny Bones a lot. I feel like it's the kind of card that really should get a reprint maybe in the next set. So it's my reprint pick of 2020. Right, Wizards?
Right.
No, in all seriousness, I would say, I guess if I had to pick, black is one of the loaded colors on reprints. Really loaded. I like Sangromancer. I like Sheoldred. My final pick, though, if I have to pick one, is Black Market. The card that used to be awful back when there was such a thing called Mana Burn.
Right.
And now it is a powerhouse. It's one of those cards that I'd forgotten about. I didn't have in my decks because when I first started making Commander decks, I think maybe Mana Burn probably wasn't a thing anymore, but I think in my head it still was.
Right.
And then, so years pass, and then suddenly I'm flipping through old collections, old cards, doing stuff, and I'm looking at Black Market. I'm like, wait a second.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So I'm really happy to see it. It's so rarely or it's less often played because it's so hard to find. So nice job, Wizards, in reprinting this one. I think it's a great choice.
What do you got in red?
In red, I have Atali, Primal Storm, which I believe to be, to me, it was a turning point for me and how well Wizards was listening to folks who wanted more options in red multiplayer. I really like what they did here. I think Duretti was one of those, from years past, was one of those cards, the Planeswalker, was one of those moments where they were trying to shore up red in multiplayer, and now I think Atali represented something else. The ability to temporarily take, I mean, you permanently get them, but it's this chancy, it has that red feel of how to make a difference in the game with some staying power in it. I just love it. And the art, by the way, is just still one of my favorite arts in Magic.
Yeah, I'm going with Hellrider here.
Nice.
I like getting into the red zone, and Hellrider is a way for you to attack, use the Hellrider triggers to kill one person, and then actually with the combat damage kill the person that you're attacking. It's a sweet card. I don't believe it's seen a reprint since it was originally made, and I'd like to see more people having access to it.
Yeah, I agree. It's one of those cards you look at it, 3/3 for 4 mana, Sheldon. Why'd you pick that? Oh boy, what it does.
Yeah.
It does extremely well. Well, I know, Sheldon, for you and I'm sure, because there's no script, agree that the best green reprint is Lurking Predators. We can just move right on to the colorless cards. So Lurking Predators is our joint pick, correct?
It is not.
What the hell is wrong with you?
Well, this is one. The one that I picked is one that I've been waiting for a very, very long time to be able to say that this reprint is coming out. It's a card that many people have wanted a reprint for a very long time, especially since it's gotten pretty pricey.
Is it Crater Hoof Behemoth?
It is not. Yours is Crater Hoof Behemoth. And
you're giving away the script, Sheldon. Don't do that. You're doing it wrong.
Yours is Crater Hoof Behemoth, and it's a fine reprint. Although, for me, Crater Hoof Behemoth, shrug. Great.
I know. How obvious.
Yeah.
How game-winning.
Right. Who hurt you, Anthony? Why do you like to win games? Anyway, the one that I've chosen is certainly going to be one of the most talked about and on-demand cards out of this set. It's Oracle of Moldiah, which some people would consider a Commander staple. Yeah,
it's a very fine pick. It's it's in so many different decks, including mine.
I saw this in the file like 9 months ago.
Yeah,
and some people were beating me up at the time about why they weren't reprinting Oracle of Moldiah.
Right.
And I just had to take it.
Right.
I couldn't go,
Right.
wait until June.
I can't tell you what product it's in, but I'm sure you'll be happy in June.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So what do you like from the artifact/land pile?
Yeah, from the colorless, my pick would be Phyrexian Tower. This is another card that doesn't, it's not in the hands of a lot of players.
Right.
It's a nice one to reprint. It's not flat out broken. It gets used in broken ways, but it's not in and of itself, an awfully degenerate card. So Phyrexian Tower for me was, and I have fond associations with it because I came in during Mirage Portal days, was still kind of figuring out the game during Tempest Block, and so Urza's block, which is when this came out in Urza Saga initially, was the first set that I started to play limited. I started to learn that there was this thing called draft that you could do. And I busted open one time, and I was kind of blown away by it. I was smart enough to first pick it. But it was, and then I got 2 Pestilences that draft because they were common and people didn't know how to draft back then, including me. I just got lucky, but I mean, I was just like, oh, Pestilence, that looks like that could kill some things.
Yeah.
Crush. But it was really neat to see this card come up again, and there's lots of ways that commander players can use it.
Yeah, I like having sack outlets. As a matter of fact,
what's your pick? Sorry, go ahead.
It would, in some regard, combo with my pick, which is Scarecrow. You can, for 1 mana, sacrifice a Scarecrow and draw a card, or for 4 mana, return a target artifact creature card from your graveyard to play. So you could sacrifice something that had perhaps a dies trigger to your Phyrexian Tower.
Yes, you could.
Generating the half the mana that you would need to return it back to the battlefield with Scarecrow.
In fact, you could do that with your commander now because of the new rules, or recently adopted rules.
The recent rules.
Yeah, absolutely. Very nice.
Yeah.
Lots of good cards, lots of good reprints. This is, I just did a little bit of back and forth. My son bought a box of M21. I'm holding off for now, but my son bought a box of M21 as he usually does. And we drafted some of it, and bust a few packs, did a little sealed as well. And it's good product. It's good stuff.
Do you generally have a standard order for each new set? Okay, every new set I buy X boxes and one to open, one to draft with, or I make sure that I buy at least 10 drafts. And do you have any kind of structure to your buying like that, or is it I evaluate the product and then see?
Yeah. As of about a year ago, I was in a certain pattern where I would buy a certain number of boxes, expect to attend a certain number of drafts at my local store. I mean, I didn't tick them off on a little box or anything like that, but I was on a general pace, sort of a broad budget and stuff. And I've pulled back on that. I certainly still buy the product. I don't want to pretend that I don't buy a product that I buy.
Yeah.
So
I get the bundle at a minimum. I get the bundle because I like the box that the bundle comes in.
Yeah, I agree.
Right, I like those. I like those boxes. So there's what was there 9 packs in those? And my dear friend Scott Larrabee
dear friend of the show, Scott Larrabee, to whom you have sent bacon, if memory serves.
I have not sent Scott Larrabee bacon. Although
you haven't sent Scott.
Nope.
Scott, you hearing this?
Well,
do you hear? He's sending bacon to people. So.
Well, but I have fed Scott Larrabee Nuska's bacon here at the house. So that's
okay.
that's a step up, right?
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
So Scott, as a birthday present, Scott gets me a foil set of everything that comes out. And the foil of each set fits very nicely into the bundle box, which is very attractive. And then you just match up the set with the art that's on the outside. It's really, really cool. So I'm glad
you get all these. I'm glad everybody's mailing each other all these wonderful gifts. Clearly, I need to get my street address out there because nobody knows where I live.
It's the times we live in, man.
It's fine. It's all good.
The more recent thing in the last year, the thing that I've started getting, and I know that I get it because I have the privilege to be able to, is I get a box of the collector boosters. Because you know that, I have a problem with foils and alternate art cards and bling and bling, as it were.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, the same afternoon that you and I are recording this, Scott and I are going to stream. He picked up a collector booster box. I picked up a collector booster box, and we're going to go on the Commander RC stream and do an unboxing for each of us. And see who
be
got
very
the
shiny.
Best. It will be.
Do you have the right lighting for that? Have you followed all the right lighting advice so that everybody can see the cards, or are we just going to blind the viewers?
We should just, I'll turn the floodlights on, so they just have to believe what we got.
Yeah, nice. That sounds pretty awesome. The collector booster is something I've indulged in a certain number of packs per set at the local store, usually out of sense of that store obligation of that store more than a desire to have certain kinds of cards, but it's nice when you pop one open and you I get it. So I've bought some. I will it's a proportional decrease, but at the same time I get it, and it's a neat way to do it. When you talked about reprints, I was actually thinking about some of those products like the collector packs, and it's okay to give, for me, it's a really good idea to get the functionality of a card like, say, Craterhoof Behemoth, just because it's on my mind right now. It's okay to get the functionality of a Craterhoof Behemoth in as many hands as possible, and then to still, gear products toward people who want to spend more on stuff and have special versions of it. I still think it's fine. That general principle works for me just fine. And previous criticisms I've made, whether it's of anything that Wizards does, I don't think I've aimed anything at them in regards to that. I think there are some products that are just really, I think one of the best things they've done in recent years is the full art. That just, it makes a card really sing in so many ways, and it highlights an important, what I might call a content contributor, an artist. It really highlights the artist's work, and makes the card feel more special than there are cards that are in decks that probably are suboptimal choices that I just want in the deck because it's kind of cool art.
I agree. You want the game pieces to be affordable, for everybody, so everybody can play. But then you want blingy versions for for the magpies who just can't avoid the shiny things.
Right. Yeah.
That makes it good for everybody.
Right. Yeah. You can sit down. 4 people can sit down at a table. Random people can sit down at a table, play decks, and have a reasonable expectation that everybody has access to cards. That anybody could win the game. Some might do it through reflected sunlight off their cards, but everybody can win. It's good. It's a good way to go. Yeah. So. Neat. Good stuff.
All right, let's take a real brief pause before we wrap, because I need a drink of this agua.
Yeah, you bet.
Oh. And our friends on the editing team know exactly what to do with that. Well, Anthony, there's still plenty of work to be done, but it's time for us to wrap up on Commander Community. If you're watching us on YouTube, please remember to like, follow, subscribe, or ring those bells. We, of course, would hate for you to miss a thrilling episode. Do you want to tell these folks where they can find you on social media?
I do. On Twitter, you can find me at Anthony A. Alonji. And on Facebook, you can find me at Anthony Alonji.
Have I already made the will you someday be Anthony the Alonji?
No, Sheldon, that's a fresh joke, I guess. I mean, it seems to be coming out of the oven stale, but no, I mean, it's sure. Where can people find you if they want to? Where can people send you bacon, Sheldon?
Well, I'm on Twitter and Facebook by my name at Sheldon Menery. Certainly, please tune into my other show, The Command Chair, every Thursday here on Star City Games and on YouTube. Also on Thursdays at 8 p.m. Eastern in the U.S., you can catch me and the rest of the Commander RC on the RC Twitch channel. That's twitch.tv/Commander RC. Also, you never know what special guests might drop by, such as last week, we had Pro Tour historian Brian David Marshall. Then finally on Sundays, you can find me right here on Star City Games, writing about the best format in Magic history. As always, I'm Sheldon Menery.
And I'm Anthony Alonji. Thank you for sharing your community with us.